back to Airsoft Gi TV. My name is Tim, and what I'm going to do today is teach you a little bit about scopes. I have three different kind of scopes here. They all serve different purposes, and they have different characteristics to help them do that. I'm going to start off with this one right here. This is called a red dot sight, although the dot doesn't have to be red. This particular one is red and green. The reticle is just a dot. So what you do is you set the scope up, you put your dot on your target, and you pull the trigger. Now, one question that we get a lot about this particular scope is how to adjust for the windage and elevation. We sell the scope in the store a lot, and sometimes the person that buys it will come back half hour to an hour later and say that they can't adjust the sight. Well, that's because the adjusters for the windage and elevation are covered by these knobs. So they spend all day trying to spin this thing, and obviously the reticle's not moving, so they get really irritated. So hopefully this will help answer this question. Unscrew the covers first, then you can use your fingernail or a penny or a screwdriver to adjust for your windage or elevation. Screw them back on. This helps make sure that you keep your zero, and in case you drop the scope or something like that, something doesn't knock your zero off, because then you got to re-zero everything, and that can be time consuming and very irritating. Okay, so you've already seen how you adjust for your windage and elevation. This is the on-off switch, and the batteries go inside here. Next up, we have the holographic sight. This thing works in a very similar way as the red dot sight. You turn this knob to adjust left and right, and then you turn this one to adjust up and down. Once you get your adjustment set, you just keep pulling the trigger and your BB will keep hitting the target. The reason why it's called a holo sight or holographic sight is because the reticle is a holograph. Your actual reticle is projected about 30 to 40 yards in front of the scope. So what that does is it keeps your reticle on your target, so you don't have to address the sight the same way every time. So you have a little bit more leeway when looking through your lens, okay? So your reticle will stay on target much easier than it would with a red dot sight. Now, with the magnified rifle scope, this is the more complex and more intricate of the three sights. This is a Airsoft Gi Scope. It's a 3 to 9 by 40. Now what these numbers mean is that this scope will magnify the image 3 to 9 times. It's adjustable, and you use this lever here to do that. 3 times zoom, 9 times zoom. Okay, 40 is the size of the objective lens, which is the front lens, in millimeters. Okay, so it's the diameter of the lens in millimeters. Typically, a larger lens will have a wider range of view at a certain distance. This is more than enough scope for any type of airsoft gun, though, so you really don't have to worry about that. Another bit of information, this is called your ocular lens. This is the lens you look through. So the objective lens is up front, the ocular lens is in the back. And this sight adjusts in a similar way that the aim point does, or the red dot sight does. You have to unscrew the lever, and that will reveal the actual turret to adjust. And this one looks like you need another penny or a screwdriver to adjust. Now, the cool thing, or the interesting thing about rifle scopes, is that you have to read what's on the turret. This says 1 click at a 1/4 inch at 100 yards. So what that means is every click that you turn this turret, it will move the impact point of your bullet a 1/4 inch to the left or right, depending on where, depending on which turret you're using, at 100 yards distance. Now 100 yards is 300 feet. Most airsoft guns cannot shoot that far. Keep in mind that most scopes are made for real guns. The best way to adjust this type of scope is to set up something at your average engagement distance, say about 100 feet or so, and keep adjusting and shooting until you're hitting the same spot every time. So hopefully that helps clear up some of your questions about scopes, and if you have any further questions, always give us a call.